This is the Steropsis.
Just this morning, we came across a video that's been trending on Twitter about a set of people who went to a town in Imo State called Mbise to pay for the bride price of their intending bride. But unfortunately for them, the family of the bride had to raise up the bride price down up to 1 million naira.
$1 million going. I actually called Chacha. Why had you put down amount of money before? Why had you put 1 million before? I bet you I we are going. I bet you one night I follow.
Now this goes a long way to bring to the fore the stereotype that has actually always taken over marriage. When the moment we say or Imo State generally is called, people become so scared and skeptical about what to expect, and then the high cost that is required for you to marry an Imo.
Something needs to be done about it, because I think it's on Igbo, because the concept of bride price is not actually to sell your child.
No.
In most of the Igbo culture, no, generally in Igbo culture, it's not actually to sell your child. It's, should I say, a kind of an appreciation that, okay, you took care of your daughter, this is it. And most times, the elders don't collect the money. Sometimes they take like 1,000 and return the other money.
Yes, of course. Obviously, because in Igbo culture, as you said, we believe that when a young man, an intending young man, comes to take your daughter's hand in marriage, that he automatically becomes a part of the family. All right? That's why they use the word, no, ijemiri. In fact, marriage, either ijemiri, but it is always preferred that no ijemiri, because no ijemiri can agree. Ijenko is painstaking, so nobody wants to return over and over again. But the most feared aspect of it, especially when we say people or Imo generally is mentioned, is the greed. The greed. It seems some parents amongst them actually want to be paid for training their female daughters. And then we all know that, you see, Imo ladies are in fact, they are the most prettiest in Igbo land. All right, you see them, they are always tall, and they are highly schooled. Now, but when you charge high fee or high prices for as bride price, it sounds somewhat like selling of your daughter.
I think that there should be a review of, because these things are happening in other local governments and some other towns.
Yeah.
I can take my own, for example. A lot of these things, somebody needs to reform them. Because I think what caused all these things that, the days, there are a lot of these lists you see. Most of them were cheap. They were mostly agricultural products. Bring orgy, bring this one. They are mostly from their farm. Now, things are very expensive. Like during this Christmas, in my place, I think in Enugu, mostly 3 or 4 kegs of palm wine. And that is not very expensive. Maybe 1 keg is up to like 100 or something thousand now. Absolutely, some people are converting to beer. And they will tell you, okay, bring 3 or 4, 5 cartons of beer, so that to make it easy for you. So I think the thing needs to go through a reform. It's not only in Imo State. I read some other way in Adamawa, where you have to bring cow from 10 to 50 cows. Because of their pastoral nature.
Even in
Ebonyi.
Yeah. You were here when the lady was telling me how you needed to bring a cow as bride price.
Is there a bride part of the
list
as bride price? Yes.
And then if you look at it, I asked, is it like is it a Rebecca, right? That is what it's called, that is a calf. Or is it an adult,
a full-grown one?
A full-grown one. And then if you look at it, if it's a full-grown one, then you are talking between We are talking about
700 to
1 million.
1 million.
It's almost, you see, it's almost the same kind of problem. Do you
Yeah.
understand? So a lot of those bride price and then the list that should go around it should actually be looked into communally. All right, because it's actually very absurd that you see a lady in her prime and then she's not getting married, not because she's of bad character, but because nobody is willing to go and pay some outrageous down.
Yeah, and from the video, you find out that the groom's people started making it a case. I watched when some of the women were like, no, that is the bride's people. Then you have to bargain.
Yeah.
And one of them said, no, how do I people? We're not bargaining.
No.
How dare you mention that kind of amount?
Yes, because what I feel is that a lot of those who came to that event were already prepared psychologically
For something like that.
and
they're waiting for them to
they
mention.
were waiting for them to drop that kind of statement. But that goes to just tell you that everybody, why going to Imo State, always have that stereotype at their back, or at the back of their mind. Well, I had an experience anyway, sometime, it's almost 5 or 6 years ago, where we went for a similar event. The bride's people and the family were just bringing all sorts of extortionist tactics. We bring money for cleaning of chair, come and bring down the pot from the fire, you bring money, all those unnecessary extortions and expenses. Now, I feel what should be done on the communal level is that they should look inwardly. I know that most of them will not be very happy that they have daughters who are doing well in different spheres of life, and then they are not getting married.
Because of exorbitant bride price.
Except what some people do is that if you like them, just come and do small things, carry and go out.
Yes, and culturally, Igbo, the bride price is not fixed.
Yeah.
And I think I read somewhere where a state legislator was trying to actually take care of that. But because of our selfless nature, it's going to be very hard to have. Maybe Ohanese can go into that kind of thing. They need a serious reform around a lot of.
Ohanese cannot do much about it. What Ohanese can do is to, urge them.
Yes, to have a reform.
To look into it.
Yeah.
Because there are situations you see a very long list of what you have to buy. 50, 60 tubers of yam. 30 Hollandaise George for mama. This one for papa.
This one for
bucket of tea for Umuada.
Then obviously for Umokorobi, all those kind of things. Unnecessary.
It's very unnecessary. Some of those things should be cut down. All right, to encourage, because you might see a young man who is who has vision, who has future, and then he wants to get married to actually balance up life a little. All right, and then when he sees a woman from Imo and he doesn't have that kind of money, where do you expect him to cater for all those kind of expenses? All right,
I think marriage we need serious reform, and we should be the one inviting. Like somebody wants to. That doesn't mean that you just give up your child anyhow, but you should be the one to make the thing not actually very easy, but we should not have roadblocks.
Now, what
for people to come and get
what we've succeeded in doing in my own home is making a marriage affair a joint venture.
Okay.
All right, because you as your daughter is going into their family, that boy is also already your son. So the duty of the boy be pachamaya and then those things that should be cut off will be cut off for him. And then during the Igbo, it's a joint something between the boy
and the.
In fact, it's the parents of that boy and then the parents of the girl. This is a celebration of marriage. But you see also some people also expect the same young man to do all the expenses.
Both for the bride and the groom.
Everything. Do you understand? And then that's why some people are running away and then instead they choose to go to court marriage. Rather than spend unnecessary money.
But the money is much.
Some kind of thing. You see.
For them to have mentioned that kind of money, I think Ohanese needs to do something, because sometimes I ask myself, what are they even doing Ohanese? There are a lot of things.
Well, Ohanese does not go beyond the political literacy.
But it should have been a social cultural organization that look into this. I would have just imagined like burial. marriage, these are very important kind of thing. Because some other place again, in burial, man, it's not always funny.
You see, Chukuma, in the days of my father, because I've had stories of how things were done. Even I was able to experience some of them as a small boy. You understand? Now, in those days, if, for instance, you are my friend and you want to go, you tell us within your age bracket that you're going for marriage. Now, and then you see that members, those people within your age grade, what they do is they even donate money, not money, palm wine to you. Like they buy one after the other. And the same way applied to burial in those earlier days. I'm sure, like when we were growing up, I've been opportune to see about 2 to 3 burials being done. I saw that of my uncle, I saw that of my father, and then there was one other guy that also passed on. Because in Igbo culture then, you were not expected to lit fire in the homestead of a deceased man.
Yeah, for some time.
Yeah, for a period of time. All right, now.
For Izuka or something like that.
Yeah, at least for Izuka at a minimum. Yeah. But the major thing is, people that came for the burial will eat. They won't go home on empty belly. But that food will not be cooked in that house.
Yeah, the neighbors,
unlike what,
the relatives.
Yes, unlike what you have here these days now. Now, what they call it in Okonano dialect, they call it Muriayamiri. Now, why they call it that way is that it's a sorrowful stuff. So you don't expect somebody who is in sorrow to come and start cooking and then entertaining you. So now, what the village people do, what they do at the village level is all the people within that surrounding, what they do now is that they gather food and then they bring them. And then, surprisingly, there is also a taster. Somebody who stays behind when you bring your own abubari, as they call it. The person will test it. If it's not good enough, they will tell you to take it and go. And then it will be counted for you. And then when something similar happens to you, see people will run away. But what do we have today? Ceremonies everywhere. Rather than the solemnity
of the
setting of the burial place, what you have here now is some people even turn it into an entertainment industry.
Meanwhile, it's not supposed to be entertainment.
Now, it's not supposed to be so. It's supposed to be a time of just sober reflection.
Reflection about your own mortal
about
journey.
your own life, and then what you're doing, and then it is a reminder that one day
somebody else will do this kind of thing.
Yes,
we've just turned it into another thing. Now let's get back to this marriage, because this is a very big problem. I think apart from Imo states, there are other smaller autonomous communities where these things are a big problem. Because during Christmas, my dad was giving me a gist about a wedding, 32 crates of beer. the woman got run away and left the beer. So many beer. Because I think now, because of the conversion, they are converting those, and palm wine is very expensive. So when they convert the exact period, they converted it in like 30-something crates of beer. But because it's a written law in the East, so you cannot actually reduce it. And most of the elders will feel like, oh, you will reduce for this guy, once this guy is done, so they end up living like that. But there should be a total reform. You understand? And things are getting very expensive. There should be a total reform. People are requesting for cow. Cow is now 1 million naira there, but you request for cow, my brother.
It's sizable because
turn into goats. But that day she said something though. He said the issue of cow is actually between you
and the father.
So the father can decide to waive it.
Yes, he can decide. Yes, but what if the father decides not to waive it? You have to provide cow.
And even decide it's a full grown cow.
Or even decide that it's a full grown cow.
Especially when your father is called you're in love.
Yeah.
Or the girl don't give better.
When you are pregnant is a different thing altogether. Nobody will accept any form of bride price. But you won't pay for the bride price until the child has been delivered. The ideology is that when when she's pregnant, that means you're paying for the bride price of 2 people. Huh?
But in like in my area, I know why it's not done like some part of the Igbo, because when the person is pregnant and you're not expected to get married to the person, because that child actually that is about to be given birth to does not actually belong to you.
Because you don't pay for it.
Not pay for the daddy. So actually, it's when you pay the daddy, after that one, you start your own.
You will now take over.
Take over.
Which is normal. But there is also a way of sometimes, for instance, 2 people who were in love and then they had a child, and then either party decides not to marry again. In Nkanu culture, they will ask you, now you take your child. All right.
No, in my place, you don't need to pay anything.
That is the difference in culture and perception.
Perception of the people who actually say.
So I don't know how we might actually see some of these things, but I feel most especially Igbo people, and then Ndimbi say
they've been trying to pass regulations. I saw somebody maybe in their last this in tenor that tried to bring up a legislation that will make, I think, restrict it to 180,000. But I think a lot of those things will not work because of our system of governance.
Well, you can actually do that on paper.
That's why
implementing it that is not. Listen,
a lot of human cannot do whatever.
It's not a government that will make laws pertaining marriage right.
Marriage right.
Because anything that pertains marriage right is customary. All right. So it is the people themselves that they should look at themselves. You look at beautiful coffee women in your hometown, very beautiful, very hardworking, and then they are married. You should look inwardly. If you think it's very beautiful by you, then don't change it. But if you look at it and you think that you are elders of that town, and then you want a progressive town where your women get married. I'm not even talking about getting married amongst your people. Go and marry outside. Take your influence out of them. Spread your tentacles. If you prefer them to remain unmarried and stay at home, then don't change it. But the bride price system in Imo State specifically, and some other states in the southeast where they charge exorbitant rates, must be changed by the owner, not the government.
Yeah. Because we have a lot of, the way we are structured is a pure Republican system.
Yes.
Each community will have their own variation of law. So having a blanket law, like just one for the whole Southeast, will not work.
I know when there was a period in my own side where if you come to marry, you have, even if you are within the same town, if you come to get married, you go to take tudun. Tudun is like 70 or 80 liters of palm wine, and you get it then more like about 6 of them. But today, all those things
they've been modernized, reduced to sizable number of.
The truth was that the youths came together and
met
said, this thing cannot continue in this life. That our people, it's difficult for our people to even get married. Yeah? But what's this kind of issue? Now, what they did was, at the Umuna level, I called to be at that. I think now it's about 4 from 6. You get it, and then the remaining one you can augment it with beer. All right, and within that our axis too, I know that palm wine is relatively cheap if you go to a pub or Abu to get palm wine. And then I also urge them, if you want to do marital stuff, don't do it during the festive season, because if you do that, that means
you are willing to spend.
No. You have money. You got some money, and then, well, it is not limited. Anybody who feels he has enough money and he wants to spend his money, and then he wants to, because Igbo on his own, it's not an original Igbo culture. It was imported down to us, and then you see we've made it
It's a norm, and it's a standard.
All right.